friends. Thanks so much for joining me today. And in our time, we're going to be singing and we're going to learn a story from God's Word. And I'm so glad that you're here, and I miss you and love you so much. And I miss seeing those smiles and getting those hugs. And I hope you're doing great and loving your time with your family. So to start out, I want to sing some songs. Now, I don't have two little helpers like Miss Brianna did last week, so you're going to have to sing out and help me sing. Let's start off with My God is So Big. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do for you. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do for you. The mountains are His, the valleys are His, the trees are His handiwork too. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do for you. Great job. Let's try. I know this is some of your favorites, and I know you can sing this one. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. Now, how about this one? This may be a new one, but it's a really neat song, and it's talking about our wonderful Jesus. Wonderful, wonderful Jesus is to me, Counselor, Prince of Peace, mighty God is He, saving me, keeping me from my sin and shame. Wonderful is my Redeemer, praise His name. Let's do that again. Wonderful, wonderful Jesus is to me, Counselor, Prince of Peace, mighty God is He, saving me, keeping me from my sin and shame. Wonderful is my Redeemer, praise His name. I think we'll stop there for now, but if you want to sing some songs with your family, then just pause the video and come back in when you're ready. I want to thank Miss Brianna last week for doing the story about Jesus calming the storm. Wasn't that a good story? You know, no matter what's happening in life, Jesus is in control. And that's what we need to remember in these times, in the things that are changing around us. We just need to remember that God's in control and that He loves us. And she and Aaron and Lizzie did a wonderful job, and I'm sure they'll be back to do more with you. And remember that if there's certain songs you'd like to sing, why don't you have Mom or Dad shoot us a text or tell Mr. David, and we'll make sure we do those next week. Your memory verse, Miss Brianna did your memory verse last week to a song. Well, Miss Darla didn't learn that song. So I'm just going to, I brought my little children's Bible here, and we're going to read the memory verse out of the Bible from Hebrews 11:1. Can someone tell me where Hebrews is found? Is it the Old Testament or the New Testament? That's right, it's the New Testament, because it's written about Jesus and having faith, and so it's one of the books in the New Testament. And Hebrews 11:1 says, say it with me if you know it, now faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. Hebrews 11:1. And Miss Darla will try, I forgot to get the memory work, and so we'll try to get that posted. I'll try to go up to the church and find that. Well, today, our story, and I'm really excited about this story and the way that I found to tell it to you. I hope you enjoy it. Our story is from Mark. Actually, this story can be found in other books of the New Testament, but it's in Mark 2:1-12. And it's the story about a man who was paralyzed. Now, do you know what being paralyzed means? Think about it. If you were paralyzed, have you ever seen someone maybe whose legs didn't work or whose arms didn't work? That's being paralyzed. And this man had been paralyzed for a very long time, maybe from birth. And when you're paralyzed, that means that your legs, or maybe your arms even, don't work the way they should. And so in our story today, I'm going to use these pieces of paper that are connected together to tell our story. I think it's really neat, and I hope you enjoy it. Well, the Bible tells us of one man, and this man was very sad because he could not walk. His legs were wonky. That's what I'm gonna use in our story. Wonky means that something doesn't work very well, and his legs didn't work very well. And so he had to lay on a mat all the time. He could not walk. Can you imagine not getting out in this beautiful sunshine and walking or running or swinging on the swing set or going fishing? He couldn't do any of those things. But fortunately, this man, this one crippled, paralytic man, had 4 friends. And his 4 friends cared about him. Well, one day, these 4 friends who had legs that were good legs, the 4 friends heard about this man named Jesus. And they heard about all the miracles that Jesus was doing. He was healing the blind. He was making the blind to see. He was raising people from the dead. And they thought, surely this Jesus can help our one friend with the wonky legs. And so the four friends with their good legs went to their one friend with the wonky legs on his mat and said, hey, Jesus is here. We want to take you to see him, and maybe he can heal you. And so the 4 friends with the good legs took the one man with the wonky legs. I don't know why I have so much trouble with that one. With the wonky legs on his mat, and they carried him to the house where Jesus was. Oh dear, but when they got to the house, so many people wanted to see Jesus that they couldn't get in. They went to the door, and there were people everywhere. So they went to the window, and they couldn't even get in through the window. So they thought, and they had an idea. They went to the stairs. Most of the houses back then had stairs on the outside that went to the top of the house. Now, mind you, houses probably didn't have pointed roofs. They had flat roofs. And those roofs were made of straw and mud, maybe a little bit of wood. And so the 4 men with the good legs carried their one friend on his mat up the stairs. And when they got up there, they dug a hole in the roof. And they looked down through the hole, and there was Jesus. And so they took their friend, there was Jesus, so they took their friend and they lowered him down through the hole to where Jesus was. And Jesus looked down and saw the man and had compassion on him. And he said, your sins are forgiven. Well, there were some very important Jewish leaders standing there that had been watching Jesus. They weren't sure about Jesus and who he claimed to be. And they said, "Who does this man think he is, forgiving people of sin? Only God can do that." And Jesus looked at them and said, "What's easier, for me to forgive this one man of his sin, or for me to say, 'Rise and take your mat and go home'?" Everyone was watching Jesus to see what would happen. So Jesus looks at the one man laying on his mat, and he says, "Rise, take your mat, and go home." So the one man with the wonky legs stood up, and he didn't have wonky legs anymore. He had good, strong legs, just like his 4 friends. And he rolled up his mat, and he stood up with his 4 friends, and off they went together. And they were amazed. All the people there were amazed at what Jesus could do. Wow. How awesome would that have been? Jesus is just wonderful, and he loves us, and he wants what's best for us, and he has so much power. He has so much power. And in our story, the 4 friends, do you have special friends? Can you think of one of your friends? You're my friend. I love you very much, and that's what friends do, and they help each other. And I think I have some of the best friends in the world. God has really, really blessed me with the best friends ever. And I don't know what I would do without them. What would the one man with the wonky legs have done if it wasn't for his 4 friends who helped him get to Jesus? I don't know. I don't know if Jesus would have seen him or not. But because of his 4 friends, this man who had been paralyzed for so long was able to walk on his good legs. I'm very thankful for my good friends. And you know what? We have some friends right now at church who need us. Because we're having to stay in, you might have lots of family around you, and it's kind of hard to be, your day is full of fun things and people to talk to. But some of our friends are alone and they're lonely. So do you think you could paint a picture or draw a picture or write a card and send it to them? Or drop it by the church building, and we'll make sure that they get it, or go drop it, sneak it to their porch and knock on their door. Oh, wouldn't they love that? And then run back to the car. They would love that. That would be a great activity for you and your family. And it would make them feel so special, just like the one man felt special because of what his friends did for him and because of what Jesus did for him. And you can even, I thought about this, you could even make phone calls and tell them how much you miss them, because we have several people who are alone, or they're sick, or maybe even sad or older and by themselves. So why don't you think about that this week? In our crafts that Mr. Brian is putting on the website, there's 2 coloring pages about the man being lowered on his mat into the place where Jesus was. And there's an activity where you can make a mat and make a little man out of a pipe cleaner, or I don't know, popsicle sticks. You can draw him and cut him out. Y'all are so artistic. You're so good at that. So Those are some fun things you can do. And maybe you could get some tape and Mama could make you a room on the carpet, and you could put a piece of tape where Jesus could be standing, and lower your man on the mat down on the place where Jesus was. Or maybe you could act out the story. I can just see some of you doing that. So have fun with that and think about that this week. And remember, it was in Mark 2. So read that story, and I will get your memory work up for you too. Okay, let's sing one more song. We're going to end with God is so good, because I really, really believe that. And I want us to end our time together with that song. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. He's so good to me. He answers prayer. He answers prayer. He answers prayer. He's so good to me. I love him so. I love him so. I love him so. He's so good to me. I thought of one more thing that you could have fun. When we talked about the man laying on his mat, why don't you get a mat, a blanket, and you and your family take turns carrying each other on it? Those 4 friends must have been very strong, because you will see it's pretty hard to carry someone when they're laying on a mat. So that would be another fun activity for you and your brothers and sisters or your parents to do with you. Thank you again for coming to Bible class. It's so important that we learn about God and his wonderful son Jesus and what he's done for us. So have fun this week. Have a great week, and remember how loved you are. Bye.